You're listening to Searching for More, a podcast of the Diocese of Arlington. Today we sit down with Steven Carattini, President and CEO of Catholic Charities of the Diocese of Arlington, and Hekmatullah Latifi, Senior Employment Specialist and Cultural Liaison for Catholic Charities, as they talk about the incredible work Catholic Charities is doing to help resettle Afghans locally.
Whether we receive them as a walk-in or picking up from the airport, we know what we are doing, and we know that we have some good plans for the family.
Yeah.
So they don't know. That's really amazes us, and when we explain to them the reaction on their faces, the happiness on their faces that we see, that really satisfying for us.
Hear Heckmatullah talk about his personal experience as an SIV and how that inspired him to serve newcomers. Today's host is Billy Atwell, Chief Communications Officer at the Catholic Diocese of Arlington.
Steven and Hekmatullah, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Oh, you're welcome, Billy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
No, not a problem. So we have been watching on the news, like everybody else, the devastating crisis that's going on in Afghanistan, as thousands of Americans and SIV holders, and we'll get into what that is in a second, and other Afghan citizens fleeing the country for safety as the withdrawal of the American troops took place. And this has devolved into really a humanitarian crisis that has even impacted us here in the Diocese of Arlington and created opportunity for us to extend God's mercy and peace from here. Steven, I'll start with you if you don't mind. Kind of give us the bird's eye view of what does the influx look like of SIVs? Also, what is an SIV, just for those who aren't aware, and what should we maybe expect in the days ahead?
Sure. Thank you, Billy. So it is estimated that between July 1st and August 30th, the United States government and others were able to evacuate over 120,000 Afghan nationals from Afghanistan. We anticipate that approximately 95,000 of those evacuees will ultimately be resettled here in the United States, or coming to the United States. Right now, we estimate about 60,000 of the Afghan evacuees are on military bases here inside the United States. Another 30,000 are in military bases in Europe.
Okay.
So among those many thousands are individuals who who worked directly for the United States government and military as interpreters, as translators, and in other capacities, and would qualify for what's called an SIV, a Special Immigrant Visa, which was a program that was designed by Congress in the early 2000s to assist people who had assisted us in Afghanistan and whose lives would be in danger if they were to remain in Afghanistan. So this was a special visa that could be applied for and would allow individuals and their families to immigrate to the United States, and with the same benefits and services that any other refugee would receive. So this would allow certain financial benefits and services for agencies like Catholic Charities to be able to help resettle up to 5 years. And so since 2006, Catholic Charities has resettled over 4,000 men, women, and children through the Afghan SIV program, including, I might add, my colleague Hekmatullah.
Yeah.
And in the last year, we resettled 400, and in July and August alone, that number was 200.
Wow.
So we saw a dramatic increase, obviously, at the end of the year.
Do we have projections for what that will look like from here?
Yes, in the coming year, at least, again, resettlement agencies like Catholic Charities are waiting now from the final decisions that will come from ultimately from the United States government, from the State Department. But we're anticipating doubling the number of people that we've resettled from Afghanistan, so it's up to 800. I hesitate to say anything more because the situation is so fluid.
Right.
But
that's what we know at the moment.
This is what we know at the moment. Yes.
Wow. So when you say we resettle somebody, what does that look like? What do we actually offer them to resettle them?
Well, the first thing first it's a blessing for us to be able to do this. This is part of our ministry. We serve the poor. We protect the vulnerable, and we welcome the newcomer.
Right.
And we literally welcome the newcomer. In many cases, we're able to go to the airport and meet them as they arrive to what will be their new home. So we're one of the first faces that people will see. One of our case managers will be at the airport, and typically they speak the language of. They will speak the language, in this case, either Dari or Pashto, and able to welcome them, literally, to Northern Virginia, to our diocese. Within the first 90 days, the expectation is that we will help them find permanent housing. We will begin their journey towards employment. If there are children involved, we want to enroll them in school. We want to make sure that they're connected into the medical community to be able to address any issues that they might have, or that they, so that they have those connections. It's awfully complicated, as you can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Something as for you and I might be, we take for granted a Social Security number.
Yeah.
That whole application process has to take place. Along the way, staff, Hekmatullah among them, will not only are we securing the housing for them, but we're also going to be providing the basic furnishings and items that they'll need: pots and pans, utensils,
because they come here with basically nothing, right? I mean, they're not coming from, it's not like if I was going to move to Sweden or something, because I pack up a shipping container and, get the car set up. No, that's not like that. They're showing up with a suitcase or two sometimes. Is that right?
Often.
Yeah.
And I would say that, in the past, Billy, when the U.S. troops were still in Afghanistan, people would be able to obtain the special immigrant visa, and then they would have up to 6 months to come to the United States, so that there was some time there to be able to plan and make a move. The folks that we've been seeing since late July, the people who were evacuated, they've come with what they have. And oftentimes that was misplaced. Even if they had suitcases at the airport in Kabul, those suitcases didn't make it here. So yes, we are now in a position of, and thank God we have the ability to be able to provide clothing and food for these people.
Yeah, I remember seeing some of the things in storage over at the Migration Refugee Services, and I saw crib sheets, and I thought to myself, with little ones, especially at the time, I thought to myself, that's something I take for granted. I've never had to think about where am I going to get crib sheets. You just order them on Amazon and you have them, but to think I wouldn't know where to put my kid to sleep. Like such a basic thing. Like where would I put my kid? But being able to provide that is such a blessing for us.
Well, we are seeing too, and I think it's important for people to know that it's not just an individual who's coming. It's not just an individual interpreter or person. It's their family, and oftentimes we are working with families of 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. Yeah. So a beautiful blessing. Lots of kids, but lots
creates
of
its own challenges.
Yeah.
And I know you and your staff have been working around the clock to cover every logistic possible. I'm sure because you've only been in this position for how long now?
9 months.
Yeah. So it's been a fast-paced 9 months for you.
Arrived in the middle of a pandemic, and but God is good. He is. I had the opportunity to be in Canada in 2015 when the Canadian government allowed 30,000 Syrian refugees into the country very generously. The agency that I was working for at the time was asked to resettle over 500 in a 3-month period of time. So I was being prepared in ways that I didn't know yet for what would be happening here in the Diocese of Arlington.
Yeah, very providential.
It is.
Hekmatullah, I want to welcome you into the conversation. First, thank you for being here and being willing to offer your story. You've got a very compelling story. You came to the United States in 2016, right? Is that right?
Yes.
As an SIV?
Thank you.
Talk a little bit about the work you did in Afghanistan that obviously put you in the position to become an SIV and how you were in that status.
Well, I've been worked with the U.S. government or on behalf of the U.S. government in Afghanistan for almost 12 years, since 2003 up to 2015. And my journey with that work was lots of ups and downs and lots of threats. And when I saw that my expat colleagues came across 12,000 miles of the ocean, and they were working in Afghanistan, I thought to myself, why not me? Why not help them? Why not support this mission?
Yeah.
So I've started that work with USAID and US Embassy, and after work with our US military brothers and sisters, and try to provide them the supports that they need on the ground. Because of that work, and since we were a family that well known in Afghanistan, and I had to travel to a lot of places wherever need was, so that put me a little bit of in a position, and I've got a little bit of threats at the beginning.
I can imagine.
I didn't care about that. I thought to myself, I'm going to work and I will stay beside my country and my people, but eventually that threat went up to my family and my kids, and that was the time that I thought, okay, it's time to leave now.
Yeah.
Just not for the sake of myself, for my family, for my wife, for my kids. How I become the SIV applicant or qualified for this visa, those who worked for the U.S. Embassy or the U.S. Projects in Afghanistan as a contractor or on behalf of them working in Afghanistan, they were given a chance of, I would say it's an appreciation and life-saving opportunity for those who worked there.
Yeah.
If you worked there for 2 years for those projects, you would have been qualified for the SIV Special Immigrant Visa. That's how I got my visa too. I came to the United States in 2016.
What was the biggest adjustment for you? I can imagine, had you had said you had done some traveling, but I imagine the United States was a bit of a shock, when you first got here. What was the greatest adjustment?
Well, let me tell you, as a refugee, when you leave your country, your home behind, and the only hope that you have is God. You don't have any hope. You are on a journey that you don't know where you're going, where you would be ended up. But luckily, when I arrived, as Stephen said, I have been met by a person from a Catholic Charity at the Dallas airport. And that was the moment me and my wife, we just look at each other, hey, we never met this person. I just was expecting that we would be helped, but no, we have been helped at the airport. I still remember my case manager's number and name.
Wow.
She was nice. She even didn't allow us to touch our luggages. She put all the luggages at the car. She brought us to our new home. I was thinking of booking a hotel room, but no, I have had a home here when I arrived in the United States. I had food in my fridge. I had a bed for my kids and for myself, or for my wife. And I was so grateful, and I'm still grateful for that.
Well, now you're able to provide that yourself, right? Working with Catholic Charities, what an interesting journey you've had. So you actually participate in that work of welcoming these newcomers. Talk about what that work is like and what you do specifically.
How did I get in this work, this line of service that I would say? The service that I have received, I decided to myself, if I get a chance to be hired by Catholic Charity, I will work in that field. Because the way I was treated, the way I was received, and I was trying to plan, and I decided to work with those families the way I have been treated by Catholic Charity, I would help the newcomers, and it's luckily I got the chance, and it's been 2 years. I'm working in different capacities, an employment specialist, working with the case management, interpreting for 3-4 languages that are spoken in Afghanistan, and helping our clients with employment services. I'm really feeling awesome about it.
That's amazing. What is that interaction like when you meet somebody who is in that position that you were in before? You were grateful that these folks were there to help you, and now you're that person. You're that name that they remember and the number that they remember. What is that interaction like with you when you get to meet someone who's in that stressful situation, but you're there to rescue them?
It's amazing. It's amazing since, as Stephen said, before this evacuation or the situation that we have right now in Afghanistan, people had the chance to prepare for their travel at least, but now the interaction between us and the new comers at the whether we receive them as a walk-in or picking up from the airport, we know what we are doing, and we know that we have some good plans for the family.
Yeah.
So they don't know. That's really amazes us, and when we explain to them the reaction on their faces, the happiness on their faces that we see, that really satisfying for us.
Yeah. Now, this work has got to have been very unique for you lately, because you've done this at a time of personal distress. You have family members and friends still in Afghanistan, while everything is going on. How has it been for you in continuing the work while also having the stress of personal connections back in Afghanistan?
To be honest, it's hard. It's hard, but I would tell you the situation has made me more strong and encouraged me, and strength. God gave me more strength to see the faces of my family member in the face of those people who are arriving here. So I'm feeling I'm helping my family here. So that would never stop me from any good things that I can do to my clients and those who are coming to our diocese.
That's wonderful. What are some of the greatest challenges you notice or have experienced for Afghans who are resettling here? What are some that they struggle with the most in that process?
Well, we do whatever we can, like Stephen mentioned, that from the housing, providing them basic necessities of the life for day-to-day, providing them, helping them, or referring them, or connecting them to all the services in the area. But still, moving from one country to another country, even from one place to another place, has challenges. Mm-hmm. We're working around those challenges. There are challenges that, especially I would say, housing. The cost of living in this area is a little bit high, and we are trying to work around that to make sure until they get job and being self-sufficient, so they can be able to take care of themselves. We are working with them to help and be self-sufficient.
Yeah, Steven, you're seeing this from a bird's eye view, because you're looking at all the assets and resources we have to offer, and also the greatest challenges across the board. Is housing the greatest challenge you're seeing as of late?
Yes, in our area, the cost of living, as you know, is
it's considerable.
Is considerable, and so that does mean that we have to become far more insistent and creative in seeking out landlords who have affordable housing units and are willing to rent to them. So it's a twofold challenge. One is finding those affordable units,
right,
and then the second is persuading landlords that. And what I always tell them is, this is the best bet you'll ever make. Yeah. These are not people that are going to skip out on their lease. These are
they're highly motivated.
What I say, this is the American story being recreated every day. Mm-hmm. These are folks who bring with them their determination, their resilience, their desire to take care of their families.
Yeah.
And the window, and I want to be clear that while there are benefits and services, the window is very narrow. Within 90 days, they're expected to be self-sufficient in their own homes and working. And so imagine you or I, Billy, being dropped in the middle of China and said, okay, in 90 days, you have to be self-sufficient. And I think to see this happen is incredible.
Yeah. Now that 90 days, is that a set by the State Department? Is that kind of their expectation for the visa?
Right, for the initial, what's called the initial resettlement and placement.
Gotcha.
Now, there are additional services that we can provide, but and even some financial assistance, but that is limited and diminishes over time.
Yeah.
The expectation is that people really are self-sufficient to the extent that any of us are self-sufficient, but
right.
But we have a phenomenal, Heckmatullah is one of a number of case managers, and we have over close to 40 staff at Catholic Charities that work together, employment specialists, case managers, case aides, workforce education and workforce development, our legal immigration team. We have attorneys and that are working with all of our immigrant populations to help them be successful here in this country.
Hekmatullah, is that a challenge, that 90-day window? Are the SIVs aware of that when they come, that they've got kind of 90 days to be set up and self-sufficient, or is that something they find out more when they get here?
Well, I would say it is a challenge, but we work with them to a different perspective, to make that challenge go away, We resettle, our case managers, they resettle a new family or newcomers in a housing and providing them some cash assistance, providing assistance with their rent for the first 90 days. In the meantime, we have programs that, like Versa program, they help our clients to enroll their kids in school. So he doesn't worry about his kids, how he gonna be enrolling his kids at school. That's why, like I said, I'm happy we have a plan for them. They don't know,
Right.
Yeah, so we have a health staff that helping our clients how to navigate health system in the United States, how to use their medical insurance, how to make a doctor's appointment, where to go do their health screening. We set up their appointments. Beside that, the other most beneficial program is the employment program, which is our ultimate goal. If we saying being self-sufficient by 90 days, there has to be someone to prepare their resume, connect them with employers, train them how to fill up the job applications. So that way we see the program. Yes, it is a challenge, but we have ways to overcome those challenges.
And these are individuals who offered professional assistance to the U.S. government, so they have job skills and education or whatever it would be that made them of such value to the United States in Afghanistan. So they come here, they speak the language, right? And so they're able to I would imagine that would be a lot faster of a process than you may have in other migration situations.
Mostly, I would say the SIV communities are the people who work with the United States government in Afghanistan, and they're pretty much familiar with the system, how it works. But the difference of the working environment here in the United States,
Oh, I imagine it's very different.
So adjusting that environment systems requires our assistance, our professional advices and services that we providing, like pre-employment training. We teach them how to fill out the application, because in Afghanistan you were just sending your resume with the cover letter to an HR person and they will decide, but here you have to fill up an application. You have to provide the necessary information. You have to talk about your experience, You have to offer, like, in the past 5 years, what you have done, the interview skills, it's much more important thing. A lot of people are educated, they have a skill set, they have experience, but one interview skill is saving a job for them. So we help them with being trained to do professional job interviews. So that's our ultimate goal. When we say self-sufficient, we make them ready for the job market so they can make enough money to be self-sufficient and support their families by themselves. But
it's okay. And Steven, what I'm hearing, it's a reminder of what we've seen in other areas of Catholic Charities, is that there's a package deal here. If an expectant mother goes to the Mother of Mercy clinic, she maybe has other needs going on. If she's there, it's not likely that everything else in life is perfect except the need for medical care. She maybe need food assistance or helping finding a job, whatever it might be. We're able to offer that to people. I think that's something that's very unique to us, is that we're not specialized in just one area and that's what we can help with. We can help you get food, that's it, or only job, finding a job. We've got this package of services that rounds out the person, and that's how we see the human person. We talk about this even in our schools. We educate the whole person. Well, here we're assisting the whole person. From what they need practically to emotionally and everything else.
It's well, I've often said that the services that we provide for refugees, again, are those wraparound, and that we can take the lessons and the programs that we're implementing there to our other ministries. And so there's a great deal of learning back and forth amongst all of our ministries. So it may be that a refugee family that arrived 3 or 4 years ago may need our assistance in other areas. And so we're able to provide that. But you're right, Billy, that oftentimes when someone comes to us and if they need food, typically there's probably other things that are going on in their lives that need care and attention, and we're able to, praise God, we're able to be there to help.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I'll say this on behalf of everyone listening. Thank you both for all that you do. Stephen, I know the behind the scenes work you do is considerable, and then we also talked you into doing 17 or so interviews with the media to tell the public, here's what's happening, here's what we're doing. So you've been working nonstop. Thank you so much for all that you've done. And Heckmatullah, thank you so much. One, for sharing your story. It's powerful, but it takes a person of great character to receive a gift from someone, be grateful for it, and then want to offer that gift to others. That's really a tremendous sign of a tremendous individual. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, Billy.
Thank you. You're welcome back anytime.
You're listening to Searching for More. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a review on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Also, make sure you follow the Diocese and the Arlington Catholic Herald on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And subscribe to our YouTube channels for regular videos that inspire, educate, and inform about the Catholic faith in our diocesan community.